At more than 50 years old, Sentara Northern Virginia Medical Center continues its rich history with transformative investments and innovations that are shaping healthcare in our region, and they're just getting started. Hello, everyone. I'm Uriah Kaiser, founder and publisher of Potomac Local News. Thank you for joining us today on the Potomac Local News Podcast. Today, we're talking with Sentara Northern Virginia Medical Center President Jeff Joyner, who details where the hospital has come and where it's going. So many of us remember Potomac Hospital was founded in 1972, and it was the answer to a growing community's healthcare needs. And today, we know it is Sentara Northern Virginia Hospital, and over the past 15 years, since Sentara has taken over, they have invested so much into this healthcare system that serves just not only Prince William County and Woodbridge, but also Southern Fairfax County, Stafford County, and the surrounding areas. And so we're happy to talk to Jeff today. He's going to tell us about their advancements in healthcare and about its magnet recognition for nursing excellence. And we're going to talk about their cardiovascular ambulatory surgery center and what's planned for the future of healthcare and what other investments they plan to make. Joyner, just as I noted, he said they're just getting started. And we're going to talk about AI. Of course, AI is taking so much air out of the room when it comes to the conversation. And we're going to talk about how the Sentara is going to deploy advancements in AI within healthcare right here in our community. But before we get to the interview, I want to remind you, please like and share and subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. You hear it all the time, especially if you are watching this video on YouTube. We'd love to produce the Potomac Local News Podcast for you. We're the only one bringing you local news in podcast form, introducing you to community leaders and answering the questions that you are asking, and to show the faces of our community. And we do that right here. So please like, share, and subscribe to the Potomac Local News Podcast. And if you don't already get our daily news email from PotomacLocalNews.com, why not? It's free. Go over there, PotomacLocalNews.com, sign up for our email newsletter, and have the day's headlines delivered to you neatly at 4 p.m. in your email news box, in your email box, the day's news headlines. We work on that email, and we're really proud of it every day, the one we put together. And many of the links not only go to written stories, but also the podcast that you're hearing right now. So you can also keep up to date with the latest podcast episodes and interviews that we do. So without further ado, Jeff Joyner from Sentara Northern Virginia Medical Center. I remember Potomac Hospital, right? I could have been born there. I wasn't born there. It was just a part of growing up in this area. And then suddenly in comes this thing called Sentara, and we had never heard of this outfit, and they were going to be taking over our hospital in Woodbridge. And here we are 15 years later, and we've seen a lot of change. So talk to me about what it was like coming into an area that was, you were new to us, we were new to you.
Correct.
And walk us through that process.
Well, Sentara has been part of this organization's history for the last 15 years, and prior to that, the hospital had a rich history in this community. And I do have to say that one of the things that makes this hospital here in Northern Virginia so special is that this was a hospital that was created by the community for the community. Really, when I was doing my research on this organization in terms of looking for where my next opportunity and where I wanted to go, one of the things that really resonated with me when I was researching is that this was the last hospital in the country to be built without any government funding. This was a hospital that was built from the funds that were raised by the community for the community. And that tells you a lot about this hospital. And I know that during my onboarding process, through the community, outreaching, talking with individuals, talking with community members, there's something that always stuck with me. And when they were speaking about this hospital, they didn't say the hospital, they said their hospital. And that's a huge difference. And that really makes this organization have a higher level, because what I mean by that is that we need to not only meet their expectations for this community, we owe the community to exceed them. And so we do. And so being part of the Sentara health system allows us to do that, because not only can we as a system bring local care, we're also being able to bring technology, medical advances that you find from a larger system right here locally.
Yeah, and we want to get into some of those. And so when you guys came in, we saw the transition from the term hospital to what we now call medical center. And we
Correct.
saw that happen there at Sentara. We saw that happen at UVA, Prince William, and Manassas. And so I was once told that that's indicative of a growing community. It's more than just a trendy thing to call a medical center hospital. It's actually indicative of a changing community, one that is growing.
Yes. And as a community grows, it needs more services. And a good example, we became a level 3 trauma center. That means that, that we have a greater need of being able to provide higher acuity care locally, quickly for our community, especially being right off of Interstate 95. You have a lot of, unfortunately, MVA accidents and other unfortunate events that require a higher level of service very quickly. And so we've got a well-trained staff that can provide that service here quickly. If an individual in our community needs a higher level of care, they can come here, be stabilized, and then sent to a higher level of care if needed.
When you guys took
those services here, locally.
When you guys came in, you immediately started to show that Sentara was investing in this community. And one of the biggest things you guys did just at the onset was to put it's more than just a first urgent care. It's a full-on emergency room in Lake Ridge. That was one of the first signs that we got that, yeah, sure, they got the hospital, they put their sign on the hospital, but we had also seen the hospital. Innova actually had a role in that hospital, Potomac Hospital, before you guys came in. So we were kind of, okay, how long is Sentara going to hang out? But then when you guys announced you were building another medical facility just down the street in Lake Ridge, that was different. That was something. And we've seen those types of investments, one right after the other. And I'll let you talk about some of those, but you've already mentioned some of them, but you're even putting a nursing school here in Woodbridge. I mean, you guys are continuing to invest into upgrading the state of medical care right here in our backyard.
And you hit it on the head with that great example of the Sentara Lake Ridge freestanding emergency department. That was that Sentara came in and recognized the need in the growing community over in that part of our county, that we needed to provide care there locally quickly. And so by putting that freestanding emergency department, which sees almost 20,000 patients a year, it allows our community to provide, it allows our system to provide those services there locally and quickly for our community members. Other things that we are investing in, we've done a lot to launch our Sentara Heart and Vascular Center back in 2011. And one of the things that we're going to be opening up here in the next couple of months will be a freestanding cardiovascular ambulatory surgery center right here about 3 miles from the hospital campus. That'll allow us to provide those services on an outpatient basis, which provide not only greater access for our community members, but at a lower cost.
So what does all this investment mean for, the average person? I mean, I know, I talked to some people who have lived here longer than I have, and their stories are, yeah, we used to have to go to Alexandria for that. We used to have to go to DC for that. There were the stuff like that was never offered here. So I guess what's the outcome of all this investment and what's the end game for it all?
Well, I think it's really a testament to the original concept of why this hospital was built. This hospital was built because there was really no healthcare services between the DC and the Richmond market that really was servicing the needs of this community. That's why the community elected to go out, raise the funds over a few years, and then build their own healthcare facility here. We at Sentara are recognizing that we need to continue that methodology of meeting patients or our consumers where they need their services and providing those services that they're requesting and needing. Good.
When you talk about, and that's the second time you've mentioned about how people at the 1974, 73 time frame, they went out and raised the funds. And actually, my third grade teacher was her dad was a doctor, and he was one of the people on that group that raised the money. Miss Moss was my third grade teacher. Her father there. At any rate, that you, I mean, much like when you call 911. You really don't care what color fire truck or ambulance, comes out to pick you up, whether it's red or green. You need them to come and help you and take you to where they need to go. And so most people who come to the hospital, they need those services. And to hear that you've improved them, I'm sure that they appreciate that. And they say, yes, that's great. That's fantastic. Here, I help fix me right now. But yet, you've told me twice on this call and many times before that you guys have recognized the fact that this hospital was different. And so tell me more about how you've tried to stay true to that community feel, despite injecting all of these advancements into this medical facility and in, surrounding facilities that now surround Sentara Northern Virginia Medical Center.
Well, I think it starts with our people. And what I mean by that is the 900 plus employees here at this hospital who are part of this community. It's making sure that we're engaging them in the care and delivery that we provide our consumers, because they are our consumers as well. And so listening to them, making sure that they're engaged, making sure that their voice is being heard and that they're part of our care delivery model. So, a good example of that, and one that we're very proud of, is that over this past year, we were recognized with a Magnet with Distinction Award. Only 11 hospitals in the country have received this award. Out of the 6,000 plus hospitals, we're one of 11 that received that. And that's a real testament, because that is an award that really evaluates your nursing staff. And in most hospitals, I'd say every hospital, your largest employee base is your nurses. And so, if they're engaged, if they're involved, if they're focused on patient quality, patient safety, patient satisfaction, you will make sure that, you will continue to provide that excellent service back to your community. And so that really is kind of the basis of what we go and try to, we try to improve health each and every day, and all 900 of us are focused on that.
And when we talked about that award in late summer, early fall, you had mentioned that a lot of it had to do with engaging your nurses, engaging your employers, your people, and bringing them in and making them part of the decision-making process. Has it always been like that in the medical field, or is that relatively new?
I think that you see pockets of that in healthcare. Throughout, you're seeing more and more of that, because one of the things that we're trying to strive for in the healthcare arena is getting engagement of our staff involved, making sure that their voice is being heard. That's why we do an annual employee engagement survey, to make sure that we're continuing to hear and to improve. So a good example, this past year when we did our survey, we saw a significant increase in the level of engagement, but also the satisfaction of our employees, because they felt that their voices are being heard and that they were empowered to be part of the decision-making process.
We live in an area that has multiple options for healthcare, and I wanted to get your sense. Is it when we see Sentara and we see now it's UVA, it was Novant for a while, and before that it was just Prince William Hospital. We see Mary Washington to the south in Fredericksburg, and Inova in Fairfax County. So do you see this as an ecosystem as much as it is a branding thing, like any other business? You choose us because we're better. Where's the balance between that? How do you see that?
Well, the balance is that we as an industry, we're all striving for the same thing, and that is to improve the health of our communities that we serve. And we know that we have limited resources, and we're trying to utilize those resources in the most efficient, most effective manner to provide that service for our community. And so, we talk about, patient access. We're all challenged with that. We know the challenges of not having enough physicians. We know the challenges of not having enough nursing staff or other clinical staff, such as radiology technologists, lab techs, across the board. So it's making sure that, we're utilizing our most valuable resource, which is our people, in the most efficient and effective manner. So that's what we're striving to do as an industry and how we can work together.
As I look over the list of bullet points that you have here in this information, this press release that you guys sent out, noting the growth over the past 15 years, I count no fewer than 10 major accomplishments, big accomplishments in just the past 15 years. And those are new facilities, new areas of the hospital, new practices, what have you. They range the gamut. Should we expect this type of growth over the next 15 years, or do you anticipate it will slow down from here?
I think it's actually going to speed up, and we're going to have to. And the reason why is because, when you look at the 10-year projections for our community, we are going to be growing at a rate where we need to double what we're doing now to catch up and to be able to provide the services that are required and needed for our community in the future. A good example right now is we're serving about 50,000 members of our community here at our main ED campus. Based on projections for our population in our community over the next 10 years, that's going to go up to about 63,000 visits per year. And that growth that we're having in our community, that's mostly going to be in the 55 and plus population. So that population requires higher level of care and need.
What does that look like? Opening more centers, expanding your footprint, going further west, north, east, south, what have you? Does it mean building a taller building where you currently are? What does that look like?
I think for us, it's going to be utilizing more efficiencies within the care that we're delivering, utilizing technology that's available and that's going to be ever changing. How do we incorporate AI into care for our patients? How can we provide and be more proactive in the services that we're providing for our community so that they don't have to use our ED? What are things that we can do as an outreach, as a more productive way of keeping our community healthier? And thus keeping them out of our emergency department. Will we have to do some construction and innovation to meet the demand? Absolutely. But we're going to try to limit that to make sure that we're utilizing the technologies that are coming down the road.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear more about how you're going to use AI. That's all anyone is talking about in our business and journalism. Now it's changing the game. I'm sure it's doubly doing so in healthcare. And to see those innovations, right now, maybe we've seen a lot of things that we can see in terms of new buildings and centers and new things, but maybe some of that technology is going to, as you said, speed things up in ways that we can't even imagine. And we may not be able to see along the roadside, but it's there. So we can't wait to talk about it. The other thing I said at the top of this is I wasn't born at Potomac Hospital, but my son had the fortune of being born at Sentara, Northern Virginia Medical Center, and we had a great experience there. And we thank all the great nurses, the entire team in 2023 when he came into the world right there at the hospital. So we certainly appreciate that. Is there anything else that you want our audience to know about where Sentara is now, where you're going, and how maybe the community can support your efforts?
One last thing I just thought, like you mentioned, is Sentara is the largest health system in the state of Virginia. And one of the things that makes Sentara unique and different, and one of the things that attracted me to this system, is that we have a health plan, which covers just over 1 million lives here in the state of Virginia. That is a unique aspect of healthcare, because what you're able to do is bring your acute care, your ambulatory care, and your health plan together to coordinate those services that you can then wrap around a patient or a consumer, so that you can be much more proactive in being able to say, we're trying to keep this patient out of our emergency department. Here are some incentives that we can create to be able to keep them healthy, keep them stronger, and to keep them home and to keep them at work. So that's one of the things that I think for us in Sentara is a real selling point for us to be able to talk to our community in terms of things that we can offer.
Jeff Joyner is the president of the Sentara Northern Virginia Medical Center. thanks again for coming on with Potomac Local News Podcast and peeling back the onion and showing us what's going inside of our health system and how you're working to continue to change it and improve it for all of us.
Well, again, thank you so much for your time today. It's great talking to you again.